What you're seeing unfold here is not just another news headline, it's a reckoning that reaches across continents, decades, and the very concept of justice itself. In a United States federal courtroom, a man from the Gambia stands accused of some of the most brutal crimes imaginable. Acts of wartime torture that included electrocution, suffocation, burning, and relentless physical abuse. This is not a story about conflict in a faraway land. It is a story about accountability, about how justice can bridge borders, and about whether the world can ever truly catch up with its worst offenders. His name is Michael Sang Correa, a former soldier in the notorious Gambia paramilitary unit known as the Junglers. Back in 2006, under the iron-fisted rule of then-President Yahya Jammeh, Correa allegedly participated in a chilling, state-sanctioned system of torture. His victims were people suspected of opposing the regime, prisoners who had the misfortune of being accused of plotting a coup. And the methods? They were brutal, systematic, and designed to break not just the body, but the spirit. Electrocution, beatings, suffocation with plastic bags, burning with molten substances, and suspension in sacks. These are not just details in a report, these are lived experiences of terror, the kind that leave psychological scars as deep as the physical ones. The twist in this story is striking. Decades after the alleged abuses, Correa faced trial. Not in Gambia, not even in Africa, but in the United States. In June 2020, federal prosecutors in Colorado indicted him on one count of conspiracy to commit torture and 6 separate counts of torture itself. According to the government, Correa and his co-conspirators transported suspected coup plotters to Mile 2 prison, a site infamous for its barbaric interrogations. Over weeks, the indictment claims, the victims endured torture at the hands of Correa and others, merciless, horrifying, and deliberate. Beatings with fists, boots, wires, and pipes, suffocation, electrocution, burn, suspension in sacks and dropping, and even molten substances pressed against their skin. It's a catalog of cruelty that few can fathom. Fast forward to April 2025, when a federal jury in Denver returned a landmark verdict. Correa was found guilty on 5 counts of torture and the conspiracy charge. This conviction was historic. Not only is it rare for a non-U.S. national to be prosecuted under the U.S. federal torture statute for crimes committed overseas, it also represents one of the clearest demonstrations of universal jurisdiction. The principle that certain crimes are so severe, so fundamentally against humanity that they belong to all of us everywhere. The case is not only a legal milestone but a moral one. The case was not easy to build. U.S. authorities relied on years of painstaking investigation, led by Immigration and Customs Enforcement and its Human Rights Violators and War Crimes Center. Correa had been living in Denver since December 2016, after arriving on a diplomatic visa, which he later overstayed. He was arrested in 2019 and placed in immigration detention before facing federal charges in 2020. Investigators had to gather evidence from a foreign country, identify survivors willing to testify decades after the events, and reconstruct crimes that occurred thousands of miles away, an extraordinary feat in cross-border law enforcement. On August 22, 2025, a federal judge sentenced Correa to 67 years and 6 months in prison, which is, equivalent to 810 months behind bars. For prosecutors, this wasn't just a number, it was a signal. The United States will not tolerate human rights violators hiding within its borders. No matter how far someone flees, no matter how much time passes, justice can and will find them. The sentence serves as a warning to anyone who believes they can commit atrocities with impunity. But the implications of this trial go far beyond Correa's imprisonment. It raises profound questions about global justice. Can a country prosecute crimes that occurred on foreign soil? Should victims of foreign regimes be able to see justice served across borders? What does it mean to hold individuals accountable under the principle of universal jurisdiction? The trial forces societies worldwide to confront these questions in practical, legal, and moral terms. For the survivors, the trial represented more than legal closure. It was validation. For decades, many of them said their suffering was ignored, their experiences dismissed or buried. Now, in an American courtroom, their testimonies carried enough weight to convict a man responsible for, unspeakable atrocities. Their courage, speaking about trauma that has haunted them for years, became the foundation for justice, and in doing so, it sent a message. Your pain matters. Your story matters. Justice can be pursued, even decades later. Human rights organizations and legal scholars have hailed the case as precedent-setting. It shows that U.S. law can be a powerful tool against impunity for international crimes. It proves that fleeing to another country does not guarantee safety for perpetrators, and that time alone does not erase accountability. It is a reminder that mechanisms exist, or can be built, to pursue justice across borders, even when the crimes occurred in faraway nations. Yet, the case carries an even deeper moral lesson. Correa was not a dictator, nor a high-ranking official. He was a soldier, part of a larger machine of repression, and yet, because he actively participated, he is now facing a sentence that will likely span the rest of his life. The verdict makes clear that individuals do not have to hold power to be accountable. It reinforces a simple but profound principle: participation in atrocities is itself a crime that can and should be punished. Still, the Correa case leaves important questions for the future. Will the United States prosecute more foreign perpetrators of human rights abuses? Can other nations rely on their own legal systems to hold war criminals accountable? Or will universal jurisdiction become a more widely used tool? What resources, financial, logistical, diplomatic, will be necessary to investigate, apprehend, and try perpetrators? These are not abstract issues. They touch on fundamental moral obligations, preventing impunity, upholding human rights, and asserting that no individual is above the law. Beyond the courtroom, the story resonates globally. It highlights the reality that atrocities can hide in plain sight. People who participate in crimes of immense cruelty may blend into new societies, assume new identities, and live seemingly ordinary lives. And yet, as this trial demonstrates, accountability can reach them. The justice system, when properly empowered and resourced, can track down perpetrators, cross borders, and bring them before a court, proving that even decades of hiding do not erase responsibility. This trial also sends a message about the resilience of survivors. Despite decades of silence, fear, and trauma, they stepped forward. They faced the unimaginable task of recounting horrors endured at the hands of a regime, horrors designed to erase not only bodies, but memories. Their courage underscores that human rights abuses are not beyond reckoning. Every story matters, every witness contributes, and every act of bravery strengthens the global fight for justice. At its core, Correa's conviction is not just a legal victory, it is a moral victory. It reminds us that torture is never merely a statistic or a distant report. It is a crime rooted in the abuse of power, coercion, and fear. And it proves that, even after decades, justice can arrive. For survivors, it provides recognition and closure. For all of us, it is a warning. Crimes of cruelty may be committed in the shadows, but eventually, accountability can emerge into the light. So, what should we take away from this trial? First, that international justice is not impossible. It is hard, yes, but achievable. Second, that survivors' voices are central. Without their willingness to speak, the law cannot operate effectively. Third, that universal jurisdiction, though rarely applied, can be a powerful tool against impunity. And finally, that the fight for human rights is ongoing. Each case, each conviction, and each story contributes to the broader struggle for justice and accountability. If this story matters to you, if you believe in justice, in human rights, in the idea that no one is above the law, don't just scroll past, share it, discuss it, pressure institutions to act, and support the survivors who courageously speak the truth. Because when the powerful believe they can hide, it is our responsibility to shine a light. Thank you for watching this deep dive into a case that matters far beyond Denver's federal courthouse. If you want more coverage of international justice, human rights trials, and stories that carry weight, hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And in the comments below, tell us, what does this conviction mean to you? Do you think other perpetrators of human rights crimes should face trial in United States courts? Let's start that conversation today.